I think one of the last, or I'd say the last, but one of the key learnings, and the final one that we'll speak about is around change. I suppose all clients ultimately, they're looking for certainty, because these projects come with a lot of maybe uncertainty at the outset in terms of the timeline, the program, the overall cost, the kind of meeting the end user requirements, the brief. So there's lots of uncertainty, and so ultimately everybody's looking for certainty, but it's inevitable in these large projects that there's going to be change. So it's all about how that change is managed. And I suppose if you stand back and look at the earlier learnings that we talked about in setting the project up for success, applying the stage gate framework to projects, the whole concept of front-end loading, the integrated plan and collaboration, and the whole concept of leadership, those things being applied to a project will take the level of risk or uncertainty or the need for change right down, I suppose, from the highest level to something that's more manageable. So I think step one is apply all those good principles, get the level of potential change down to a more management level, and then it's about how you manage that. But it is inevitable. Again, I spoke earlier maybe about the overall life of these projects. It could be 5 years, it could be more, and through that 5-year period, regulations change, market changes, technology changes, and often we've got to find a way to incorporate these changes into the design of the project. So they're going to happen, and then it's all about how you manage that and how you manage it, I suppose, effectively and efficiently, and again in some form of trust, open relationship, I suppose, with the stakeholders. So I think that's, I suppose, one, getting it down to something that's management, and then two, accepting that, and then putting a process in place whereby it can happen efficiently and effectively. I think providing contingency for change is important. Sometimes we want to believe it won't happen, but the reality is it probably will, and I think having some level of contingency for change that's measured, I think is really important, and that should be done in an open way. Just because there's a contingency doesn't mean it needs to get spent. It belongs to the client ultimately, and we should be able to give it back to the client as we go through the life of the project and we get more certainty. But I think providing contingency is another important part of that. I think having experienced people brainstorm risk as you go through the life of a project and what risks might be out there, and then trying to mitigate those risks, see around the corners, then I think that equally is another way of mitigating, I suppose, the amount of change that's going to occur in a project, or at least trying to be ahead of it. Maybe finally, the management of change gets kicked down the road, and it's never a good thing to do, because in what we do, things change quickly, people change, buildings get closed up. It's best to deal with the change on an ongoing basis, month to month, rather than trying to deal with something 2 years down the road when time has passed by and records and information is not as available and as current. So again, it's a basic point, but I suppose just trying to deal with change as it goes.